Buying the wrong motorcycle in 2025 could drain your wallet faster than gas leaves the tank. Dealers are quietly slashing prices on once iconic bikes that riders can't even give away, and if you're not careful, one of them could already be in your garage. Stick around, because the final bike on this list proves that even Harley's crown jewels can turn into money pits overnight. Number 8. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. For decades, the Iron 883 carried the reputation of being the starter's badge of honor, the machine that welcomed thousands of new riders into the Harley-Davidson world. It promised simplicity, authenticity, and that unmistakable low-end rumble. Yet by 2025, this once iconic model has become a cautionary tale of diminishing returns. Its design, though classic, has changed little since its introduction, and the lack of modern refinement has caught up with it. Riding the Iron 883 today feels like stepping into a time capsule. The bike's minimalist layout is charming at first glance, but long rides quickly expose its limitations. The small fuel tank demands frequent stops, while vibration from the solid-mounted engine wears on the rider after a few miles. Despite Harley's signature growl, the Iron feels underpowered when keeping pace on highways, forcing its rider to push hard to maintain speed. The clutch is heavy, the gearbox requires effort, and the narrow front end amplifies every imperfection in the pavement. For older riders accustomed to refinement, the Iron's rawness can feel more punishing than nostalgic. What once gave this motorcycle its character, its stripped-down, no-nonsense attitude, now makes it feel dated. It lacks traction control, modern rider aids, and any sense of technological evolution. The ride is firm to the point of fatigue, and comfort takes a back seat to the old-school styling. While some enthusiasts still defend its simplicity, the majority of riders now view it as impractical for anything beyond short, casual trips. The seat offers little support, the range is limited, and the vibration becomes relentless on longer rides. The Iron 883 is powered by an air-cooled Evolution V-twin engine measuring 883 cubic centimeters, producing roughly 54 horsepower and 54 pound-feet of torque. It uses a 5-speed transmission with front and rear single-disc brakes and optional anti-lock braking system. Suspension includes traditional forks and dual rear shocks, giving it a firm, old-school ride. The bike's wet weight sits near 564 pounds, seat height around 29.9 inches, and its modern starting price hovers near $11,249. The Iron 883 remains a visual icon, but its purpose has faded. It looks the part of a true Harley, but rides like a relic from a past era that refuses to move forward. What used to be its strongest selling point, authentic minimalism, has become the very reason riders are walking away from it. For those seeking the balance of comfort, control, and power that modern cruisers deliver, the Iron no longer holds its ground. The next bike on this list proves that chasing a modern audience can sometimes leave a company stranded between two worlds. Number 7. Yamaha Bolt R-Spec. Among the mid-sized cruisers that tried to capture the spirit of American steel, few stirred as much early curiosity as the Bolt R-Spec. When it first appeared, riders saw it as a practical alternative to larger, pricier machines. A stripped, minimal cruiser that borrowed the look of a classic bobber, but carried modern reliability underneath. Over time, though, its appeal has worn thin. The promise of simple freedom turned into a reminder that simplicity without refinement can feel more like compromise than character. Riding the Bolt R-Spec today reveals how quickly the market outgrew its limits. The heavy steering, harsh rear suspension, and shallow lean angles make city riding manageable, but highway cruising uncomfortable. Despite Yamaha's reputation for smooth engineering, the bike feels coarse once you push it past short commutes. The compact cockpit places taller riders in an awkward position, and the low handlebars can cause shoulder fatigue after longer trips. Many older riders describe it as a motorcycle that looks inviting in the garage, but quickly wears them out once the miles begin to add up. Its simple analog dash and lack of refinement remind riders that modern comfort is about more than just reliability. It's about balance, and that's where the Bolt falls short. Visually, the Bolt R-Spec still carries that garage-built charisma. The low stance, chopped fenders, and blacked-out details make it look like a stripped-down classic, and for a moment, that illusion works. But a beautiful silhouette cannot disguise a tiring ride. The stiff suspension, minimal padding, and ever-present vibration turn what should be a laid-back cruise into a chore. What once seemed like honest simplicity now feels unfinished, as though the bike stopped halfway between concept and comfort. For riders seeking long-haul ease or refined performance, it demands too much effort for too little reward. The Bolt R-Spec represents an era when manufacturers tried to rekindle the stripped, American-style cruiser aesthetic without fully understanding what riders valued most. Its looks promised authenticity, but the experience offered little beyond the surface. It has become a symbol of the challenge faced by metric cruisers that tried to mimic Harley's formula without embracing its soul. The bike is neither bad nor broken. It's simply stuck in a space where its simplicity limits its purpose. The Bolt R-Spec runs on an air-cooled V-twin engine displacing 942 cubic centimeters, producing around 53 horsepower and 59 pound-feet of torque. It pairs a 5-speed gearbox with traditional telescopic front forks and dual rear shocks. Braking comes from front and rear single discs, supported by an optional anti-lock braking system. Its wet weight averages 545 pounds, with a seat height near 27.2 inches. The starting price in recent years stands close to $8,799. For riders looking for something dependable for short weekend rides, the Bolt still holds a certain charm. But for those who ride for distance, torque, and comfort, it feels out of its depth. In 2025, it stands as a reminder that style alone cannot carry a motorcycle forward. If you've ridden any of these bikes, or almost bought one, drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you believe riders deserve the truth, not the marketing. Number 6. Suzuki Boulevard S40. Among the smaller cruisers that once filled American streets, the Boulevard S40 stands as one of the longest-running survivors from another era. For decades, it offered simplicity and affordability in a world that was quickly moving toward sophistication and comfort. Riders were drawn to its light frame, classic shape, and no-nonsense approach to motorcycling. But in 2025, that same simplicity feels more like a drawback than a virtue, and the S40 has become a relic of what used to work rather than what still does. Riding the S40 today is like revisiting a chapter of motorcycling history that refuses to evolve. The first impression is charming. The narrow tank, wire-spoked wheels, and upright bars create an image that recalls the early custom scene. However, the illusion fades once the road begins to unfold. The vibrations are relentless, the gearing feels dated, and the braking response reminds you just how far modern standards have come. For older riders who value control and stability, it feels raw in all the wrong ways. On uneven pavement, the suspension punishes rather than cushions, while the light frame feels unsettled at highway speeds. The bike demands constant input from the rider just to stay composed, turning what should be a relaxed cruise into an exercise in endurance. Visually, the S40 still captures attention from those who appreciate vintage simplicity. Its slim profile and unmistakable thumper sound carry a nostalgic charm. Yet nostalgia can only go so far. The design limits comfort, range, and practicality. The small fuel tank forces frequent stops, the narrow seat grows uncomfortable in minutes, and the vibrations through the bars and pegs can leave hands and feet numb after short rides. For anyone seeking comfort or refinement, the experience feels more punishing than pure. It is a bike built for another time, light, basic, and stubbornly unrefined. The S40 represents the final stage of a motorcycle philosophy that no longer fits the modern rider's needs. It was once celebrated for being affordable and simple, but those same traits now define its limitations. In a world where even budget cruisers offer smoother performance and safety features, the S40 feels unfinished and unforgiving. For riders who grew up expecting torque, comfort, and confidence, this motorcycle delivers little more than nostalgia wrapped in chrome. The S40 is powered by a 652 cubic centimeter single-cylinder air-cooled engine, producing approximately 31 horsepower and 37 pound-feet of torque. It features a 5-speed transmission, front single-disc and rear drum brakes, and conventional telescopic front forks paired with dual rear shocks. The wet weight is around 381 pounds, with a seat height near 27.6 inches. The starting price in its most recent form was about $6,999. By 2025, the S40 stands not as a competitor, but as a museum piece, an echo of what used to be considered good enough. Its charm remains on the showroom floor, but on the road, its age shows in every mile. Heads up, everything I ride with is in the description. Tested gear, no gimmicks. Hit the links, then keep rolling. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Street Rod 750. It was meant to be a bridge between the classic cruiser and the urban performance scene, a motorcycle that could navigate city streets with muscle and attitude. On paper, it looked like Harley's chance to modernize without losing its character. In reality, the Street Rod became a textbook example of what happens when a design tries to please everyone and ends up connecting with no one. Riding the Street Rod today reveals exactly why it failed to find its place. The engine feels energetic but unrefined, delivering power in short, uneven bursts that make stop-and-go riding more of a chore than a thrill. The tall seat and forward-canted riding position create an uncomfortable posture that puts pressure on the wrists and lower back. It is neither the relaxed cruiser that older riders expect, nor the nimble street machine younger riders want. The clutch engagement feels heavy, and the throttle response is abrupt, which takes away the confidence that a city bike should inspire. It demands constant attention, and that effort quickly drains the enjoyment from everyday rides. The Street Rod still carries a certain visual appeal. Its compact frame, blacked-out finishes, and muscular stance give it the look of a stripped-down performance bike. But once you start moving, the illusion fades. The ride is harsh, the suspension unforgiving, and the seat lacks any form of comfort for long-distance use. The narrow handlebar layout further limits leverage, making low-speed maneuvers clumsy. For a motorcycle designed to feel agile and athletic, it often ends up feeling heavy and unpredictable. Even with its aggressive styling and sport-inspired geometry, it fails to deliver the sense of control and connection that riders expect from a Harley. What ultimately hurt the Street Rod was not a lack of potential, but a lack of purpose. It tried to satisfy two very different audiences at once and ended up missing both. Traditional Harley riders found it too cramped, too buzzy, and too far removed from the brand's heritage. Meanwhile, younger riders who might have been drawn to its looks quickly discovered that there were smoother, more comfortable options from competitors offering similar power with better balance. The Street Rod is powered by a liquid-cooled Revolution X V-twin engine displacing 749 cubic centimeters. It produces roughly 70 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 6-speed transmission. The bike uses 43mm inverted front forks and dual rear piggyback shocks for suspension. Braking comes from front and rear dual-piston calipers with single discs, supported by an optional anti-lock braking system. The wet weight is approximately 516 pounds, seat height 29.8 inches, and starting price around $8,699. By 2025, the Street Rod stands as a cautionary example of misdirection. It represents a time when Harley chased a new identity without fully understanding what riders truly wanted from the experience. The machine was meant to symbolize evolution, but instead, it exposed how hard it is to modernize without losing the soul that built the brand. The next bike on this list shows that even when performance numbers rise, authenticity remains the one measure that matters most. Number 4. Indian Scout 60. When the Scout 60 first rolled into showrooms, it was meant to carry the heritage of Indian's storied past while making the brand more approachable to a wider range of riders. It shared the same proud lineage as its larger sibling, but was trimmed down for a more accessible, urban-friendly experience. The idea was simple: classic American muscle made smaller, lighter, and less intimidating. Yet as the years passed, that strategy lost its shine. By 2025, the The Scout 60 has become a clear example of how scaling down size and price can also strip away presence and personality. Riding the Scout 60 reveals a motorcycle balanced awkwardly between refinement and restraint. It feels smooth and easy to manage, yet that civility dulls its spark. The throttle responds politely, the acceleration feels calm, and the subdued exhaust note lacks the signature pulse of an American V-twin. Around town, it glides effortlessly through traffic, but once the road opens up, its limits appear. Comfortable for short rides, the low stance and forward controls quickly strain the back, while limited suspension turns rough pavement into fatigue. Smaller riders may find its proportions inviting, yet most feel disconnected. Beautifully built and elegantly styled, the Scout 60 impresses the eye, but fails to stir the soul where it matters most, on the ride. The build quality remains commendable, with attention to detail and a polished fit that few entry-level machines can match. However, the very things that make it approachable also make it forgettable. It is too quiet, too measured, and too refined for riders who crave something raw and distinctive. Many who buy it as a first step into American motorcycling find themselves moving on quickly, searching for more torque, more sound, and more identity. The Scout 60 is powered by a liquid-cooled V-twin engine displacing 999 cubic centimeters, producing about 78 horsepower and 65 pound-feet of torque. It features a 5-speed transmission, telescopic front forks, and dual rear shocks. Braking is handled by front and rear single discs, supported by a standard anti-lock braking system. The wet weight is around 561 pounds, seat height approximately 25.6 inches, and the starting price typically sits near $10,749. By 2025, the Scout 60 stands as a lesson in how moderation can dull what makes a motorcycle great. It was created to open doors, but in doing so, it left behind much of the emotion that defines true riding character. It remains a fine machine on paper, yet on the road, it struggles to spark passion. The next bike on this list proves that even when innovation takes center stage, it means little if the soul of the ride gets left behind. If this list opened your eyes, subscribe before you scroll away. We uncover the hard truths other channels won't touch. Real bikes, real riders, no sugarcoating. Join the ride and never get blindsided by another bad buy again. Number 3. Harley Davidson 48. When the 48 first hit the streets, it was celebrated as the perfect blend of compact design and unmistakable Harley attitude. Its low stance, narrow tank, and bulldog posture gave it an aggressive personality that appealed to riders who valued looks as much as legacy. For years, it stood as one of the most photographed bikes in Harley's lineup, a style icon that seemed to capture the spirit of customization right out of the crate. But by 2025, that same stripped-down image has begun to feel more like a limitation than a strength. The 48 has turned from a symbol of rebellion into a reminder that beauty without practicality can fade faster than expected. The 48 still turns heads with its muscular stance and signature rumble, but the charm fades once the ride begins. Its cramped posture, tiny tank, and harsh suspension make long rides punishing. Stunning to look at, yet tiring to ride, it values attitude over comfort or true capability. Over the years, Harley-Davidson has built its name on motorcycles that blend style with long-haul power, but the 48 sits in a space where looks outweigh performance. It delivers attitude in abundance, but not much else beyond that first impression. Riders who once fell for its stance and simplicity now find themselves trading it for something more capable, something that can carry both comfort and presence in equal measure. The 48 is powered by an air-cooled Evolution V-twin engine, displacing 1,200 cubic centimeters, producing approximately 60 horsepower and 73 pound-feet of torque. It runs a 5-speed transmission and uses traditional front forks paired with dual rear shocks. Braking comes from single front and rear discs with optional anti-lock braking system. The wet weight is about 552 pounds, and the seat height sits around 26.2 inches. The starting price in recent years averages $12,299. By 2025, the 48 remains visually timeless but functionally outmatched. It represents an era when minimalism ruled, but the riding world has moved on. The next bike on this list proves that when a company tries to evolve too quickly from tradition, it risks leaving both its roots and its riders behind. Number 2, Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250. When the Pan America arrived, it marked one of the boldest moves Harley-Davidson had made in decades. The company known for chrome, low-slung cruisers, and thunderous V-twins suddenly stepped into the world of adventure touring. a space dominated by European and Japanese competitors. It was Harley's attempt to redefine its future, proving that the brand could innovate without losing its heritage. At launch, it generated enormous attention, pulling in riders who wanted something fresh from Milwaukee steel. But by 2025, the excitement has cooled, and the Pan America stands as an ambitious machine that struggled to find its footing in both identity and execution. Riding the Pan America begins with excitement but ends in detachment. Its power and refinement impress, yet it lacks Harley's signature soul. The engine feels clinical, the weight demanding, and the controls overwhelming. It's capable yet cold, an ambitious machine that trades heritage for precision, leaving emotion behind. Visually, the Pan America breaks every tradition Harley built its image on. Its angular design, tall frame, and futuristic fairing draw attention, but not always admiration. It looks like a motorcycle built by engineers rather than riders, with function clearly outweighing form. Many fans of the brand found it hard to connect with, while others respected it as a step toward progress that perhaps arrived too late. The Pan America 1250 is powered by the liquid-cooled Revolution Max V twin engine with a displacement of 1,250 cubic inches centimeters, producing approximately 150 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque. It uses a 6-speed transmission and features semi-active front and rear suspension systems with electronically adjustable preload and damping. Braking is managed by dual front 4-piston monoblock calipers and a single rear floating caliper, with cornering enhanced anti-lock braking system as standard. The wet weight is around 562 pounds. The seat height is adjustable between 30 and 34 inches, and the starting price hovers near $19,999. By 2025, the Pan America remains a symbol of both courage and contradiction. It proved that Harley-Davidson could compete technologically, but in doing so, it left behind much of what made its motorcycles magnetic. The bike stands as a bold experiment, one that aimed for new horizons but drifted too far from home. The next bike on this list shows how chasing luxury and complexity can turn even a flagship into a burden no rider wants to carry. Number 1. Harley-Davidson CVO Limited. For decades, the CVO Limited represented the very peak of Harley-Davidson's luxury touring lineup. It was the kind of motorcycle that announced its presence before the engine even turned over. Massive, commanding, and draped in chrome from nose to tail. Every detail was meant to convey craftsmanship in excess, from the stitched leather saddle to the deep paintwork that shimmered under sunlight. It was built for riders who wanted the absolute best Harley had to offer, no matter the cost. Yet by 2025, that dream of premium perfection has turned into a heavy burden, both literally and figuratively. Riding the CVO Limited feels like commanding a rolling throne, plush, powerful, and unapologetically grand. Every inch exudes luxury, from the seat to the chrome. Yet that comfort comes at a cost. Its weight demands constant control, and its countless features complicate simplicity. What once symbolized prestige now feels burdensome, costly, and exhausting. Visually, the CVO Limited remains a spectacle. Its vast fairing, shimmering paint, and unmistakable stance still draw attention wherever it goes. But in a market where riders are increasingly leaning toward leaner, more responsive machines, that visual grandeur feels out of place. Many older riders who once aspired to own it now find themselves turning to simpler, lighter bikes that deliver a more connected experience. The CVO Limited represents an era when bigger meant better, when luxury and excess defined success. But in 2025, that philosophy feels distant. The CVO Limited is powered by the air and oil-cooled Milwaukee 8 117 V-twin engine with a displacement of 1,923 cubic centimeters. It produces approximately 105 horsepower and 122 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 6-speed cruise-drive transmission. The bike features a premium suspension setup with dual bending valve front forks and premium emulsion rear shocks with hand-adjustable preload. Braking is handled by reflex-linked Brembo calipers with cornering-enhanced anti-lock braking system. The wet weight stands at roughly 975 pounds, seat height around 29.9 inches, and the starting price typically reaches $54,999. $1,500. The CVO Limited remains an icon, but one from a time when the open road was about more than comfort. It was about freedom. Today, it stands as a reminder that even the most impressive machines can lose their relevance when the weight of luxury overtakes the joy of the ride. Every rider learns the truth eventually. Some motorcycles earn their legacy, others fade into regret. The machines on this list remind us that chrome, sound, and price don't define real value. Time does. In 2025, the smart riders aren't chasing trends. They're protecting their passion and their wallet. If this video helped you see the road a little clearer, hit like, share your story in the comments, and subscribe for more straight talk on the bikes that matter. Ride safe, stay sharp, and remember, every decision on two wheels tells your story. Make yours a good one.